In 1928, a 27-year-old mystic published the most ambitious encyclopedia of hidden wisdom ever attempted. Nearly a century later, the secret teachings of all ages is still studied, quoted, and revered. But the question remains, why? Why does this massive tome, filled with dense symbols, obscure references, and forgotten traditions, still matter today? To answer that, we have to step back and see the legacy of its author, Manly Palmer Hall. Hall wasn't just a writer, he was a builder. He built bridges between traditions, connecting Egypt with Greece, alchemy with psychology, masonry with Kabbalah. He built institutions, founding the Philosophical Research Society in Los Angeles, which still houses his vast library and continues to host lectures on philosophy and mysticism. And most of all, he built a vision that humanity shares a single stream of wisdom flowing through every age, every culture, every symbol. That vision is why his work still resonates. Before we explore further, take a moment to subscribe to Occultus and ring the bell. This channel is dedicated to unveiling hidden wisdom, and your support helps us keep creating. And if you've enjoyed this series, hit like now. It helps more seekers find their way here. So, why does Hall's book still matter? First, because it connects the dots. Most people see traditions in fragments: Egyptian gods here, tarot cards there, Masonic rituals somewhere else. Hall showed that these fragments form a mosaic, a single story about humanity's search for transformation. In a world divided by borders, religions, and ideologies, that vision of unity is more powerful than ever. Second, because it preserves wisdom that might otherwise be lost. When Hall was writing, many of the texts he drew on were not easily accessible. Some were in rare libraries, others in private collections. He gathered them, organized them, and gave seekers a map. Even today, his book is a treasure chest of sources. Scholars may quibble with details, but no one denies its breadth. Third, because it reminds us that symbols matter. We live in a visual age: logos, brands, memes. But Hall insisted that symbols are more than decoration. They are vessels of power. They shape the subconscious. They carry truths that words cannot hold. Learning to read them is not optional. It's essential if you want to understand the forces that move societies. And finally, because Hall's book is not just about history, it's about possibility. It whispers that you are more than flesh and bone. You are a being in transformation. Lead can become gold. Ignorance can become wisdom. Sleep can become awakening. Comment below. What was your favorite moment or insight from this series on Manly P. Hall? I'd love to hear what struck you most. Now, let's talk about the living legacy. Hall's Philosophical Research Society still exists in Los Angeles. It's a quiet place, not flashy, but inside are thousands of volumes on mysticism, philosophy, religion, and psychology. Lectures are still given. Students still gather. Nearly a century after he first put pen to paper, Hall's vision continues. But his true legacy is not an institution. It is the seekers he inspired. His book has guided generations of readers to explore symbols, societies, and mysteries. Some became scholars, some became teachers, some simply became wiser in their daily lives. That's the mark of real wisdom. It doesn't just fill your head, it changes your life. And here's the mystery. Some say, the secret teachings of all ages is itself an initiation. That it reveals more to you the deeper you go. On the first read, it's overwhelming. On the second, patterns emerge. On the third, it begins to speak directly to your soul. Not everyone believes this, but many readers quietly will tell you, the book revealed itself to me. That's why it still matters, because it's not just a book, it's an experience. Whisper. For those who find Hall's text too overwhelming, there are guides that decode it into practical steps. One such guide is The Secret Teachings Decoded, unlocking Manly P. Hall's Encyclopedia of Hidden Wisdom. Think of it as a lantern. It doesn't replace the original, but helps you navigate its corridors. If you're curious, I'll leave a link in the description and first comment. So let's return to the big question. Why should the secret teachings of all ages matter to us today, in a world of smartphones, AI, and endless distractions? Because the human quest hasn't changed. We still seek meaning. We still ask, who am I? Why am I here? What lies beyond death? Hall reminds us that these are not new questions. They are the eternal questions. And that the answers have always been with us, hidden in symbols, rituals, myths, and philosophies. He also reminds us of something else. Wisdom is not given freely. It must be sought. It must be earned. In a time when information is everywhere, Hall's work is a reminder that information is not wisdom. Only lived experience, reflection, and transformation can turn data into gold. That's why this series matters, because we are not just learning about the past, we are being invited to continue the work, to study, to practice, to awaken. So what will you do with this legacy? Will you treat it as a curiosity? Or will you step into the role of seeker, carrying the torch forward? If this series has inspired you, share it with a friend who loves hidden knowledge. Let them step into the vault with us. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Occultus and join our growing circle of seekers. Because the legacy of Manly P. Hall is not just his book, it's us, the ones who pick up the torch, the ones who read the symbols, the ones who remember that hidden knowledge is the seed of transformation. And so, we close this series on the secret teachings of all ages. But in truth, the journey never ends. Because every time you look at a symbol, every time you enter a temple, every time you open a book of wisdom, you are continuing Hall's legacy. Remember, knowledge is power, but hidden knowledge is transformation. Welcome to Occultus.